What's going on, guys? My name is WSN1 and welcome to today's video. In today's video we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, where all the intel which you can pick up across the map is located in the 3 Outbreak maps. Hope you enjoy! Alright guys, we're going to start on the map Alpine. On this map there are 3 pieces of intel you can find. The first piece of intel is an empty frost blast canister. This piece of intel can be found on top of the lower half of the ski lift. This is the part where you would usually enter the ski lift. The Frostblast canister intel is one of the Requiem artifacts intels. Looking at the map, the intel is located in the middle of the left hand side of the map. The second piece of intel is a mystery box bunny. This piece of intel can be found on the second floor of the middle house of the base suites. The mystery box bunny intel is one of the dark ether artifacts. If looking at the map, this piece of intel can be found all the way on the left in the middle of the map. The third and final piece of intel is an empty juggernaut can. This piece of intel can be found on the roof of the bathhouse next to one of the chimneys. The empty juggernaut can is one of the dark ether artifacts. On the map, this piece of intel can be found to the lower left side of the map. Next up, we're going to look at the 4 pieces of intel that can be found on the map Golova. The first piece of intel that can be found on the map Golova is an empty Ethereum canister. This piece of intel can be found on the pipes leading from the middle of the red silos in the train loading area. On the map, this piece of intel is located on the middle left hand side near the edge of the map. The second piece of intel that can be found on Golova is a symbol monkey toy. This piece of intel can be found on the front right pillar of the church. The symbol monkey toy intel is part of the dark ether artifacts. On the map, this piece of intel is located all the way at the bottom of the middle of the map. The third piece of intel found on the map Golova is a Project End Station tape. This intel can be found on the basement floor of the yellow house on the lower east town. The second door from the left. The Project End Station intel is part of the Maxis artifacts. When looking at the map, this piece of intel can be found just below the dead center of the map. The fourth and final piece of intel on Golova is the Maxis badge intel. This intel can be found in the industrial park near the edge of the map behind some sandbags. The Maxis badge intel is part of the Maxis artifacts. On the map, this piece of intel is located all the way in the bottom right, near the edge of the map. Last of the 3 maps, we're gonna look at Ruka. Just like Golova, on Ruka there are 4 pieces of intel to be found. The first piece of intel that can be found on Ruka is Ivan's head. This piece of intel can be found on top of a telephone pole next to the train bridge. Ivan's head is part of the Dark Ether artifacts. On the map, this piece of intel can be found on the right hand side of the map. The second piece of intel that can be found on Ruka is a Ethereum shard. This intel can be found on one of the rocks in the burnt forest near the edge of the map. The Ethereum crystal shard intel is part of the Requiem artifacts. This intel can be found all the way at the bottom of the map, just right of its center. The third piece of intel found on Ruka is Kravchenko's knife. This piece of intel can be found on the bottom left green lookout tower at missile silos. The Kravchenko's knife intel is part of the Omega artifacts. On the map, this intel can be found in the bottom left corner. The fourth and final piece of intel on Ruka is the Omega Group patch. This intel can be found on top of the second highest obstacle on the obstacle course. The Omega Group patch is part of the Omega artifacts. Just left of the dead center of the map, this intel can be found. There is one piece of intel that can be picked up that I haven't mentioned yet. This is the head from the defend objective. But if any of you guys played more than 5 rounds on an Outbreak game, you will have gotten that anyway. I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you liked it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I was your host WSN1 and I want to thank you for watching this video. Catch you guys in the next one.